Hey guys, it's Will Royall here, and I'm going to show you today how you can make $410,000 more this year by booking artists and selling more tickets. Now, let's start out with the goal, right? The goal for any music promoter is to spend as little as possible booking artists because it's likely your largest cost, and to sell as many tickets as possible, right? The method I'm about to show you is incredibly powerful. It's going to beat 95% of your competitors using this, and it's going to sell out the majority of your shows. You're also going to lower your artist booking expenses considerably through good negotiation, removing the emotion, and even more so by ensuring that you don't purchase the acts that don't generate a return, meaning, don't purchase the acts that aren't selling tickets. But how do you know, right? How do you know? Combining all of these things, that's what's going to lead to bigger profits. So let's talk about the old way, how people normally do it, right? So Backwoods is a festival out in Arkansas. You've probably heard me talk about Backwoods before. Agents pitched artists, and Backwoods booked the ones they thought would do well, right? I mean, trusting the agents that, they knew what was coming, what the next big thing was. Really, they're just self-serving, right? They are only trying to just sell and build their client base, right? Backwoods also booked artists that they liked, that their friends were listening to, people suggested who was up and coming. They thought they had a pretty good beat on who was popular and who was not. And of course, did some research on their own on social sites, but there wasn't actually a way to connect the artist demand and the database of potential ticket buyers, right? That's the key, is getting the demand, pulling the demand from your potential ticket buyer base and finding out exactly who they want to see, right? So in 2016, Backwoods' music budget was 420 grand. That's how much they spent on music. And in 2016, they sold 3,400 daily tickets. So let's talk about what the new way is, right? The new way, for Backwoods specifically, no festival was held in 2017, but they started using PromoTix to research artists for the next event in early 2018 by connecting and pulling Spotify data through some of PromoTix's tools. And they also created some polls and got contest registrations, right, to connect some of that Spotify data. And these registrants basically gave Backwoods viewership into exactly who they were listening to on Spotify. So Backwoods was able to, over this 90-day period, it's a rolling 90-day period, always updating, stay up to date with exactly who their attendees are listening to. And they approached agents and negotiated the best deals then, and they always had a backup because they could see so many artists on this list. The list was way bigger than the budget would allow to book anyway, so there was always a backup. So what happened? 2018, music budget, $290,000. They saved $130,000 from the previous festival booking this way. And even though their budget was smaller, they sold 4,800 daily tickets. That's an increase of 1,400. Total bottom line, $410,000 difference, okay? Why can't the majority of music promoters do this? Why can't they get this sort of improvement or sort of results, right? Spend less on music and sell more tickets. It sounds simple, but the reality is there's only one formula that's going to make you money, and there's more formulas that won't, right? And this is why it's difficult, because the right acts at the right price will make you money. The right acts at the wrong price will lose you money. The wrong acts at the right price will still lose you money. And the wrong acts at the wrong price is going to cause you to go bankrupt, okay? If you're doing that, you're not going to be in business very long at all. You don't have much room to mess around if you're buying the wrong acts at the wrong price. So it's incredibly hard, though, to get the right acts at the right price all the time because there's three key forces that are working against you. So the first one is that artist fees continue to go up, right? And the second one is that the agents hold the keys to negotiating, and your ability to buy most of the music performers. And for the most part, they're cocky dicks, as I have written here. And artist teams, they have more data than you do. The managers and, that whole team knows what the touring history is and the fan base and where those fans are at and, historical ticket sale data. They are typically in a stronger position than you are from negotiating because promoters are approaching them, right? They've got more places to sell this, and sometimes even get into bidding wars. So you're in the wrong spot from a negotiation standpoint. So these three things make finding artists that are affordable, that move tickets, difficult for you, and increasingly difficult, right? So how can you get consistent results? The first thing you need to do is remove the emotion from the buying process. You need to make booking decisions based on data, okay? So research, research, research is the only way to pick the right artists for any genre or market. And I want to point this part out, especially if you don't even know the genre or the market, you can still use this method and book the right acts at the right price, because you're not based on emotion. It's not based on who you know or who you like or what you want to see. This is based on what the market is demanding and pulling from you, right? So, learning this, you can expand into any genre of music, into any new market, right? So how do we do this research, right? The number one thing, this is the number one most important thing out of this entire video that you'll learn. If you can get your ticket buyers and potential ticket buyers to give you access to their Spotify listening data so you can always see what they're listening to and stay recent with it, that it'll keep up with you, then you'll always have the latest list of who's hot and what artists you should be booking, okay? And then when you tell these people that you've booked this artist, obviously they're gonna buy tickets. So the second most important thing you can do is you can use polls. You can go on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and via email and collect data, all right? This is not as good as the first method, but it does work. If you combine the two, it's even better, right? The reason this one's not as good is because they're not gonna tell you all of the artists that they're listening to right now. They're just gonna name a couple, 2 or 3, maybe the top ones. And the other thing is it gets stale, right? You have to constantly be asking the question and they're not going to be answering all the time. Whereas this way, it's automatically going to update for you, and you're going to always have the latest and greatest information, and they won't even realize that they're continuously allowing you to review this after they sign up, right? So what do we do? Once we have the data and we've pulled that from our attendee base, we want to sort the information in a targeted list, something using TagCrowd. This is a great tool here, which I'm going to show you in just a few minutes. And it will organize it to look and bring all the popular artists right to the top, so you know exactly who you should be booking. And then you're going to fill out the rest of that information on the artists individually so that you can begin to rank those and associate value with the artist. So for example, with Polestar, you can pull previous ticket sale data, right? A lot of people already know about Polestar. This is the kind of data that the agents have, right? They know how many tickets have been sold to previous shows in the past in different markets. So this gives you an insight into the data that they have when you go to negotiate with them. But how you can use this data is you can look at it and see maybe who your audience is demanding at a higher rate than what maybe the ticket sales are showing for that artist, right? And so you can spot trends where an artist may be getting more popular prior to their tour. And using that, you can then grab value, right? Because the agent is going to be basing it off of historical sales data, and that's your argument that you're able to pitch to them about the offer, but then you're able to capture the value because the majority of your attendees want to see that artist. So you can spot the up-and-comers even before the tour starts, right? You can also use Next Big Sound to see trends and growth in that manner. And check out their social sites, see how many you're going to be able to reach in their area. You can also get, this is a great tool, you can also get an idea of other artists that are going to help increase the likelihood that the buyer will buy, increase your conversion rate. So for example, if I just look up Papadosio here, okay, this is going to show me all the other artists that are close to Papadosio, meaning the closer the artist is to Papadosio here in the center, the more likely it is that listeners of Papadosio also listen to these artists. So if you want to increase the likelihood that a Papadosio fan is going to buy a ticket to your show and not someone else's, then it's likely that you should also have maybe the Disco Biscuits or Zugma or the Works or Dopapod or a combination of these artists. And then you're more likely to sell tickets to the fan group here that listens to this sector, right? So this is for like a festival or even for an independent show in a venue, maybe Papadosio, and you would want to have like Dopapod open for them or something along those lines, right? So great tools like that. But use as many data sources as you can and build a huge spreadsheet. Just get all your artists on your target list and just get every single piece of data that you can on them to make your decision. And remember, the more research you do, the higher your chances for success, right? Remove the emotion. Again, base your decisions only on the data from your fan base, all right? And rank them, vet them based on the other data points that you collect. You can always see your favorite artist at someone else's concert on their expense and risk behalf, right? So don't spend the money there. So let me show you how some of this research is done. I'm going to use the Backwoods example again. So if I pull up Backwoods here, you'll see that this is an example of them polling, right? So they're polling the audience for jam bands, reggae bands, and bluegrass bands, 686 comments, all right? And in those comments, you'll see that they've named multiple artists, okay? Yeah, so this is great information for Backwoods. So you can, basically they just copy this, copy all of the comments, scroll down, copy all of them, and then paste them into a document. I'm gonna show you that in a second. One of the other ways is to use the registration page or contest registration, which is another PromoTix tool. And doing this is going to bring them to a page where they have a chance to register and win, let's say, a prize, VIP tickets, right? Or be first to be able to purchase campsites before they go on sale. But when they register, you get them to register with Spotify. And now you have access to the data, right? So this is all through this tool. Whoops, excuse me. And so once you grab this stuff, you're going to put them into files. So look, this is a regional asked question. This was just a general asked question. These are polls, right? Bluegrass, bass. So once you pull this information in to a document, you're going to have to strip out anything else that's not an artist, right? Manually. Or like, if you copied it out of the Facebook comments, there might be the word like or reply there. You're going to have to find and replace all with nothing, with a space or something. And once you take all this information, copy it, and you go to that tag crowd, word cloud generator that I talked about, paste it in there, and maybe we want to see 150 different artists, and maybe people, they have to be voted upon at least 4 times, right? We can visualize it and create a tag. Look at this. It looks just like a lineup poster, right? These could be our headliners, right? Maybe these are in our tier 2. And down below that is kind of tier 3, right? We can look at these other artists as tier 3. So this is a great way to create your initial target list. And if you need more, you can just lower the number of times those were mentioned, right? Or increase, look, there's more artists now. And so you create this and create your other data points on it. Here is the secret Spotify data. So check this out. This is showing exactly what the audience overlap, the people that register with Spotify in my database, the ones that I'm going to ask to buy tickets. I can now see who they're listening to on Spotify. Look, 43% of my audience is listening to Grizz, 32% Bass Nectar, 28% Zed's Dead. If I was, everybody probably knows what happened with Bass Nectar, but let's say a year ago, Bass Nectar would have tried to charge $400,000, $500,000, right? Maybe Grizz is only $100,000. Well, what is the difference in value? Obviously, Grizz is much more valuable to me than Bass Nectar, yet Bass Nectar's 4 times the cost. I know exactly who to be booking here. You can see everybody that your audience is currently listening to. And over here on the following insights, now maybe we see why Bass Nectar is expensive, right? Because he's got the most long-term followers, but maybe he's not the most relevant today. Guys, this data is crazy valuable. You can make so much money and save money using this data. Okay, back to the, so research. That is the most important thing out of everything I'm talking about today. The second step is to negotiate well with agents, all right? I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but relationships are key. The only way you're going to build relationships is over multiple years or buying multiple times from the same agent. And they want to work with promoters that are proven, true, good, that are going to help them build their artists, build their acts, sell out shows, that sort of thing. So you need to make sure that you're not going to go out of business, which means you can't give them ridiculous price offers. They have to be reasonable offers that are going to keep you in business so that you can build these relationships. The other thing is that the supply and demand curve is reversed most of the time. Like you're on the opposite side of the negotiating table in a bad position with the supply and demand. We talked about it a little earlier. Sometimes you're competing, right, with other promoters. You got to keep your options open. So you need a larger artist target list than your budget would allow. So if you're booking out a calendar for a venue or a bunch of artists for one festival, you need to plan, a target list of 200 acts if you've got 50 or 60 slots, right? And so you got to have the backup artist so that you can walk away if the artist fee is too high. You never want to be backed into a corner where you just need that one specific artist. The agent knows it, and then they can charge whatever they want. So to reverse that, one of the easiest ways to reverse that and get them selling and pitching you rather than you chasing them for an artist is to not go after the art. Even if you know the agent has the artist you want, you don't go in asking for that artist right away. You go in asking them to submit a list to you of people that they would like to offer, bookings for, right? And so this puts them in a reverse position where they're now selling and pitching to you. You can get them to explain a little bit on the acts, etc. And then you can start to slowly show interest in one of the acts that they now are pitching you. And that act should be the ones that you want, right? And rather than just sending one, you might want to send them 2 or 3 offers, okay? Maybe they have multiple acts you want, and maybe they don't. If they don't, you can still give some offers on some backup artists or artists that if you don't want them, just keep the offer low enough not to insult them, but so that they counter and you have the ability to turn down the counter. There's nothing wrong with turning down a counter offer. Doing that's going to get more of the agent's attention, and it's going to lead them to believe the opportunity is much bigger with you, and as such, they're going to pay attention more. And then just make sure the artist that you want, you're giving them a reasonable offer, and justify it. That's the next step. Justify your offer. This works for agents well, but not if you're in a bidding war. So if there's a new promoter in town or another promoter is overbidding just to get the show, you may still lose out on that, but that's not going to last for too long because the other promoter is eventually going to go out of business and the market is going to correct itself. They're not going to be able to continue taking losses on these shows, and as such, the pricing of those artists are going to have to be correct at some point, right? And so if these people go out of business, eventually, if you're still in business, then you're building these relationships, right? And over time, this takes time, but you have to build these relationships. And so the way to justify your offer is to show all the expenses associated with the show and build out a projected P&L. Show the agent that you're not making a ton of money on the show after the expenses and the artist fees, and you're justifying it then, right? So they can't raise the offer on you without justifying it as well. And so if you can show that you've done your research and this is what the show attendance is going to be and these are what the expenses are, then you've created a good argument as to why your offer is what it is. And remember to build yourself a little buffer for attendance if it doesn't sell as well, and maybe some additional expense padding as necessary. And finally, so the third and final step, you have to market better than your competitors. The way you're going to do that is you're going to give your ticket buyers exactly what they asked for. You're not going to give them something that you just thought was good. You're going to give them exactly what they asked for. So if you've done the research properly, you've polled your audience, and you've got access to see what they're listening to right now on Spotify, then it's going to be easy for you. It's going to be cakewalk. It's like taking candy from a baby, right? The key here is to craft custom audiences on Facebook and Instagram, as well as email the same people you originally polled and those you have Spotify data for. So if you book the artists on your target list and you stuck to that list, the ones that have the most overlap with your audience, then you'll essentially be showing these people, the ticket buyers, these shows and lineups that most closely resemble what they're listening to and everything they're going to be wanting to see and go out, to a concert, right? So you will sell out your shows this way. You will create crazy demand, and everybody who comments on the lineup is going to say, what a great lineup this is, what a great show this is. This is how you book shows that sell out. So in summary, research. Get the ticket buyer and potential ticket buyers to give you access to their Spotify data. The way you do that is through software, okay? I can help you do that. You leave a comment, reach out, set a meeting with me, and I'll show you how. Buy the right acts at the right price, all right? Remember, you cannot buy the right acts at the wrong price, the wrong acts at the right price, or the wrong acts at the wrong price, okay? And retarget for marketing. So once you've booked your shows, reach back out to the same exact people you asked and just show them, I booked the exact artists you asked me to book. Buy your ticket. It's that simple, guys. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Like I said, book an appointment with me below. Ask me a question. Whatever you need, I'm here to help. Talk to you very, very soon.